Have you ever wondered why two entrepreneurs can start with the same idea, the same funding, and even the same opportunities, yet one thrives while the other burns out? What if I told you the difference isn't luck or intelligence or even timing, but a single skill, one that Stoics mastered over 2,000 years ago, and that every successful entrepreneur quietly depends on today? The skill I'm talking about is emotional discipline. And before you roll your eyes, thinking you've heard this all before, stay with me, because I'm going to show you how Stoic emotional discipline is not only different, but it could be the missing ingredient that separates your journey from failure to lasting success. Let's start with a story. Picture a Roman general leading his army into battle. The stakes are life and death. Soldiers look to him for courage, clarity, and composure. If he panics, the army collapses. If he stays calm, they fight with confidence. Now fast forward 2,000 years and swap the battlefield for a boardroom, or a startup office, or even your home desk at midnight staring at a business plan. The battlefield has changed, but the stakes, the stress, and the need for calm clarity remain exactly the same. So what's the Stoic secret here? It's the ability to remain unmoved by chaos, reacting not with impulse, but with deliberate action. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor who led Rome during wars and plagues, wrote in his journal, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but your estimate of it." In other words, it's not the crisis itself that breaks you. It's your reaction. Now let's bring this into modern entrepreneurship. Imagine your product launch fails, orders don't come in, investors pull back, and critics online attack your idea. Most people spiral, but a Stoic entrepreneur sees clearly. This event is not in my control, my response is. And in that moment, instead of collapsing, they pivot. They analyze, adjust, and come back stronger. That's not theory. I've watched people apply this and turn near bankruptcy into breakthrough success. But let's pause a second. If emotional discipline is so powerful, why do so few entrepreneurs actually master it? Here's the surprising truth. It's because discipline feels boring compared to the adrenaline of chasing opportunity. But what if I told you that most startup failures are not caused by lack of opportunity, but by emotional mistakes? Overhiring out of fear, overspending out of pride, abandoning strategy at the first sign of stress. Emotional errors quietly destroy more businesses than bad ideas ever could. And that leads us to a critical Stoic practice, reframing. Epictetus, who began life as a slave and became one of the greatest teachers in history, told his students to always ask, "What is within my control here?" This simple question rewires your brain during chaos. Instead of panic, you start scanning for leverage. Entrepreneurs who master this question become unshakable because while others waste energy on uncontrollable events, they channel energy into decisive action. Let me give you a modern example. Think of Elon Musk. Controversial figure, yes, but undeniably resilient. When Tesla was on the edge of collapse in 2008, Musk was sleeping on the factory floor, analyzing every problem he could actually solve. He couldn't control the global financial crisis, but he could control production efficiency, investor conversations, and his own stamina. That distinction saved Tesla. Whether you admire him or not, that's Stoic reframing in practice. Now here's a loop you'll want to hold on to. Emotional discipline doesn't just help you survive tough moments. It's also the secret weapon in seizing opportunity. Why? Because when others panic or get greedy, You stay calm, and that's when the best opportunities appear. Warren Buffett, another master of Stoic-like thinking, once said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." That mindset only works if your emotions don't run the show. So, how do you train this Stoic skill practically? Because knowing the theory is one thing. Living it daily is something else entirely. The answer lies in small daily habits, and I'll share a powerful one with you in a moment. But before we get there, let me ask you this. When was the last time stress made you abandon a good plan? How much did it cost you in time, money, or relationships? I'm Saul, and I've personally faced this myself. In the early days of my own ventures, I lost opportunities. Not because my ideas were bad, but because I let fear and impatience drive my decisions. The turning point came when I began practicing a Stoic exercise so simple it almost seemed ridiculous. Yet it rebuilt my composure, my clarity, and ultimately, my results. And here's the twist. It's the exact same exercise used by astronauts preparing for space missions, elite athletes before competitions, and CEOs before billion-dollar negotiations. Do you want to know what it is? Stay with me, because once you understand it, you'll never see stress the same way again. The exercise I'm talking about is called premeditation of adversity. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, which means imagining in vivid detail the things that could go wrong. Now, at first glance, that sounds pessimistic. Why would an entrepreneur about to pitch to investors or launch a product visualize failure? But here's the magic. By rehearsing adversity mentally, you remove its power to shock you. When setbacks actually happen, you're not caught off guard. You're already prepared to respond with calm, calculated action. Picture this. You're about to walk into a high-stakes negotiation. Instead of pumping yourself up with blind optimism, you take a quiet moment to ask, what's the worst that could happen here? They reject my offer? They walk away? They push for tougher terms? You imagine each possibility, and then you rehearse how you'll respond. Suddenly, fear dissolves. Instead of anxiety, you feel grounded, ready for anything. That's Stoic discipline in action, and entrepreneurs who practice it consistently develop an almost unshakable resilience. But let's take this one step further. Emotional discipline isn't just about handling failure. It's about staying level when things go well too. Success can be just as dangerous as setbacks, because it tempts you into arrogance, overconfidence, or reckless expansion. History is full of entrepreneurs who tasted early success and destroyed themselves by growing too fast or ignoring risks. The Stoics warned against this. They taught that fortune is fickle, and the wise man remains steady, whether praised or criticized, wealthy or poor, rising or falling. That balance is what keeps you on the path to lasting success. So let me ask you, how do you currently handle wins? Do you stay measured and strategic? Or do you let the excitement push you into risks you wouldn't normally take? Because one day, that distinction might mean the difference between sustainable success and catastrophic collapse. Here's where another Stoic practice comes in: journaling. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, ended his days by writing reflections in a private journal never intended for publication. He reviewed his actions, his thoughts, and his emotional responses. As an entrepreneur, imagine ending each day with 3 simple questions. What did I do well today? Where did I let emotions dictate my decisions? And how will I adjust tomorrow? This habit builds the self-awareness that strengthens emotional discipline over time. It's like compound interest for your mindset, small daily reflections that add up to enormous clarity and resilience. Now you might be thinking, journaling sounds too simple to be powerful, but let me give you a modern parallel. CEOs of Fortune 500 companies are now encouraged to keep reflection logs for the same reason. Bill Gates takes regular think weeks, where he isolates himself to write and reflect on decisions. That pause, that clarity, is exactly what Stoicism was teaching centuries ago. But let's return to our central question. What is the Stoic skill every successful entrepreneur needs? It's the art of mastering your inner state, because no matter how brilliant your ideas, how big your opportunities, or how favorable the market, if your mind is chaotic, your business will reflect that chaos. On the other hand, if your mind is calm, disciplined, and focused, you can weather storms and seize opportunities others completely miss. Let's close the loop on that story of the Roman general. He stood in the chaos of battle, but his soldiers looked only at him. If he was calm, they were calm. If he was steady, they were steady. That same principle applies in your startup, your business, your team. People mirror your state. Your calm becomes their calm. Your discipline becomes their discipline. And when that happens, you don't just build a business, you build a culture of resilience. So what can you do right now to start mastering this Stoic skill? Begin with the simplest step, pause. When faced with a decision, don't react instantly. Take a breath. Ask what's within your control. Imagine the worst-case scenario and how you would handle it. Then respond with deliberate, focused action. Practice it in small ways daily, and over time, you'll find your emotional discipline strengthening like a muscle. Because the truth is, entrepreneurship will never be easy. There will always be setbacks, failures, and unexpected twists. But the entrepreneurs who rise above are not those with the most money, or the most intelligence, or even the best timing. They're the ones who master themselves first. The Stoics knew this. Modern entrepreneurs who thrive know it too, and now you do as well. So, the question is, will you let emotions dictate your entrepreneurial journey, or will you cultivate the Stoic discipline that transforms obstacles into opportunities and chaos into clarity? The choice, as always, is in your hands.